We all know what 4-0s can do to you in group situations on Saturdays. They are catastrophic.
Well, when he went for the treble 16, it's because he was determined to leave tops, which he's hit twice in the match, but he does find double 8 in the end.
Usually say, I think he's been given the easier group tonight by virtue of winning Group A and seeing who came through in the other positions in B and C. He's been given the slightly easier task tonight, but he must not go to sleep thinking that he's going to guarantee the semi-finals by just turning up.
Well, that's a timely 180, just to remind Ron that it's not a practice match, this. But he will get at least one dart for the match, barring a disaster here.
3 words. Just get rid. And it's tops again.
And in pops tops again. Meulenkamp is the man in the opening match. Chris Hurd found it tough going. Lost the first 3 legs, never recovered. And it's Dutch Delight in the opener this evening as the bomb beats Hurd's comfortably 4-1. The averages closed up towards the end of the game, but Hurd's left it too late to mount a comeback. 85.69 for Ron. 4 out of 7 on the doubles. Very impressive in that department, including that 69 checkout to get the game won. And it will feel like job done. It will be if Keelan Kay beats Hurd for him in the next game. But before that, we go to Group 2. Cam Crabtree and Andy Bolton coming up next.
Would not be a shock.
Wouldn't be a shock if he took this out. I remain totally unsurprised. A fabulous 1-4-4 finish with Bolton waiting on a 2-darter.
His perfect record of making Saturday night. That in itself is rather remarkable. 6 from 6. Oh my. From behind in the leg, he has just taken the lead by 95 points, just like that.
Yeah, and the smart thinking to use the bullseye. He found the 25, it had been on 170. Turns out to be academic anyway, because after a dozen darts, Bolton isn't on a finish. Crabtree's taken out 140-something. He's threatened 140-something else.
I'm just going to put this out there as he sets up a match-winning chance on double 12. How many times have we seen somebody beat somebody 3 times in a week and then they meet again in a final and then the person who's lost 3 times goes on to win the week? That could happen.
Luke Littler did it to Andy Bartons. But Cam Crabtree has made light work of Andy Bolton. A 4-0 success for Crabtree. And there he does give a little flash of the socks that has Martin Lukeman's face on them. And now let me tell you something. He has just smashed Andy Bolton. A 101.9 average, a 144 checkout. It's absolutely brilliant that. If he keeps his standard up all evening, he will be the man to beat. Andy Bolton needs to bounce back against Scott Baker in a couple of games' time, and that's exactly what Chris Hurd needs to do next. He takes on Keelan Kay after the break.
Chris Shavak 97.
Really needs this. Double top just does not look comfortable, doesn't look settled. But does find the double and clings to the cliff edge.
Johan Brouwer in the audience tonight.
It's tops for Keelan Kay to do it, and what he does do, he forces a last leg shootout. It could be Chris Hurd that's going through with him. Despite that defeat at the hands of the bomb, he's bounced back and beaten Keelan Kay 4-3, and now he needs Ron to get rid of Keelan in a couple of games' time. That one going the distance, not the highest quality, but the scoring wasn't there for Keelan Kay. The finishing was the problem for Chris Hurd in that game. Kay was efficient when he did get down to a double, but didn't get down there often enough. And Hurds took advantage of all the opportunities he was afforded in that game, meaning that he is still in the fight ahead of his after his 2 matches and ahead of Keelan Kay's final match with Ron Muhlenkamp. Andy Bolton now looking to do something similar. Having lost 4-0, he faces Scott Baker.
This week.
Oh, that was bold. That was bold by Baker.
Oxford United had some really good times in the 70s, 80s and 90s, didn't they? And this is good. Andy Bolton's back. Best finish of the night.
Required 20.
And Bolton is getting fortunate as well as playing better in this match. The angle, is it good? You bet it is.
On the 4th player, Andy Bolton. 66.
And is Andy Bolton going to run out of steam?
He's going to stay there and leave double 18.
30.
So close.
Andy require 40.
I bet he thought that was in when he hit it. But Andy Bolton does hit it. And a 4-2 scoreline for Bolton keeps him alive for now. The permutations will be fairly complex for group number 2 when we come to game 6, which will be Baker against Crabtree. But for now, Andy Bolton does stand a chance of making it through to the semi-finals yet again. It was an improved performance. That 1-4-1 stood him in good stead because it started very, very well. Baker is up against it against Crabtree in game number 6. But before we get there, Keelan Kay has got to try and take out Ron Muhlenkamp. But Ron is looking for that break of throw. And he gets it.
Break, break, break. For me, it's a treble 14, maybe even a treble 20, but Muhlenkamp made his mind up, and Muhlenkamp is made to pay. This has been a game where every leg so far has been won against throw. And that continues, but it's on a night where every single match has been won with throw.
Oh.
It is tops,
46.
but he fails to find it. Now what does Ron do? Straight for it, or does he split? Double 19. And 1 dart at double 8. Muhlenkamp has already topped the group. But he's done it by winning both of his games. And in beating Keelan Kay, the Dutchman keeps Chris Hurds in the tournament. And you can see that despite the fact he knew he was going through and he knew he was winning this group, it still meant everything to him to ensure he got the win. It's been a very, very strong week for Muhlenkamp, and he's emerging as one of the favourites to take the title tonight and seal a return to Champions Week. Coming next then, Scott Baker takes on Cam Crabtree. Andy Bolton is the player watching, waiting and hoping for a Crabtree win.
In less than 8 minutes. Is he going for it? Silly question. He is a bit of a showman at a very young age. And he got the oohs and the ahs, but he didn't get the B's.
41. Can he require
Crabtree
25?
Trying to clean up the remainder. And can do so on double 8, in double 8. Level in the match. And now the winner of the group.
Scott, you require 100.
Baker gets his chance. Oh, that is again another bold move. But it pays off for Baker.
Scott Baker,
who delivers the goods. And by beating Cam Crabtree, eliminates Andy Bolton, who'd never failed to make it through to a final, but he will not be in the final 4. It's Baker and Crabtree, Hurds and Muhlenkamp, the semi-final lineup tonight. And that win for Baker sees him seal a spot in that first semi-final against Ron Muhlenkamp, which will be coming up very, very shortly indeed.
Ronnie require 142.
There have been some great finishes tonight. Bolton got a 141. Crabtree got a 144. But something else in that range is not going to be found right here. But if you can leave it handy, that 97 becomes more difficult, especially after that.
Scott, you require 97.
He can't get a shot at a double.
57. Ronnie requires
And the bomb is on
24.
Dream Street.
Game shot.
He's
the
not looking
third
back
leg.
at all.
Ron Muhlenkamp.
And after 2 match
59.
darts, Muhlenkamp comes back.
Ronnie require 10.
The big deep breath. And the hit. He can only get one more.
Well, there was some little disturbance there before that, and I just wonder if he's allowed it to put him off a little bit. He needs to regather himself here on Muhlenkamp, because if he loses this leg, that could eat away at him. Well done.
Game shot
Fantastic.
and the match.
Muhlenkamp
Ron
gets the
Muhlenkamp.
job done, and he gets it done in style. A 4-0 success over Scott Baker. Muhlenkamp's team very, very pleased indeed, but not as pleased as he is with that performance. A 96.97 average, a couple of maximums in there as well, and a polished performance that sees Muhlenkamp make the final, and he stands 1 win away from a return to Champions Week. Who will he meet? We'll find out after the short break as Cam Crabtree takes on Chris Hurds.
Cammy require 89.
That has got to be a strength at this stage. Double 16.
Game shot on the first leg. Cam
That's an
Crabtree.
ideal start. Is he still alive?
6.
Well, he
Cammy
will be
require 24.
if Cam hits double 12 this time, but only by a very
Game shot
fine
on the
margin.
third leg. Cam Crabtree.
That apology was very straightforward. He needed to take a breather there, and Cam has got a chance. Double 19.
93.
But Hurds remains in the
Richard
precarious
McGuire, 10.
position of having to take aim at double 5.
Game
Finds
shot on
it,
the sixth
finds
leg.
himself
Chris
level,
Hurds.
dodges another bullet.
97.
And he has got 6 darts. He can just meander there with singles. He might not need the singles, because that does get him into the final.
Cam Crabtree.
It's almost like he went to sleep for 3 legs, and then he woke up, and he did get a 15 darter with the last leg of the semi-final. It turns out that Chris Hurds has run out of lives, but the final in week 12 is going to see Cam Crabtree up against Ron Muhlenkamp, arguably the 2 best players of the week. Not his best performance. He has been somewhat up and down over the last 2.5 days, but he's there, and it's now going to be best of 7 legs at the end of week 12 to see who the last name is into Champions Week.
The break in the opening leg.
Game shot on the
Crabtree
first leg.
suddenly
Cam Crabtree.
discovers his ability.
He missed double 16 to win the first leg after missing a single. Does he get this treble 18 to have another shot at double 16? There's your answer. Cam thinks the bomb's about to go off.
74. Cam, you require 83.
Treble 17 will be the first port of call here. To leave double 16. To leave
Game shot
Ron
the
Muhlenkamp
second
now,
leg. Cam Crabtree.
chasing his tail.
80.
Yeah.
Here in Portsmouth.
Cammy
And there'll be no
require
lucky
40.
losers this time around. It is going to be a Champions Week of only champions, only weekly winners. And Cam Crabtree is
Game
edging
shot on the
closer
third
to
leg.
being that again
Cam
here at the Live
Crabtree.
Lounge.
I think he's playing this game really well. Fire, he has not celebrated anything in this final yet, but he might be celebrating right now.
96.
Well, that would have
Ron
been some way to win it. Ron
167.
Muhlenkamp has to find some way to stay in it.
It's a big ask. Too much of an ask. The doubles for Crabtree have been 50%,
93.
and he should
Cammy
get 2
requires
darts.
25.
It could be curtains for the bomb.
Game shot and the match. And the Week 12 Motors Super Series champion, Cam Crabtree.
And Cam Crabtree does complete the field for Champions Week. An emotional end to a rather bizarre evening. It is 2 victories for Crabtree here at the Super Series. He's tasted success again. Shazam got the job done in style in the final. He started the night with a fantastic display when he averaged 101.9 in a 4-0 victory. He's done exactly the same thing in the final, bookending his winning week, his winning night, and making his return to Champions Week here at the Super Series. He is named 12 on that list. Great stats in the final, mirroring that performance from match 1. 101.9 the average, 4 out of 7 on the doubles, and a 4-0 thumping of Ron Meulenkamp, who would have gone into that final much fancied. And it is now time for Crabtree to have his moment on that stage once again. I will hand you over to our MC, Owen Binks.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the presentation. Would you please show your support for the Week 12 Modus Super Series champion, Cam Crabtree!
So then, Cam Crabtree is the man who completes the field as far as Champions Week is concerned. He is the last man through. And what a champion he is, Paul Nicholson.
Some performance, wasn't it? He might have gone to sleep for a little bit of time in that semi-final against Chris Hurds, but my word, what a performance that was. And to be the only person who has registered a ton plus average this week, and to put them in both on the Saturday night. First performance, told everybody what he could do. By the end, he just swept the bomb aside, and unfortunately for Ron, it's final heartbreak again.
There was a couple of times this week, one tonight, one on Thursday, where he asked question marks of Cam, but both times he's answered them emphatically.
I've used this word maturity an awful lot over the last 3 days when it comes to Crabtree. I think maturity comes from how you behave in certain situations. The final leg of the semi-final, he showed maturity in bouncing back quickly, within seconds. But to be able to, within 5 or 6 minutes, find a way to get that performance out of yourself, to replicate what you've done in the very first game of the night, it tells you that Cam Crabtree, at a very young age, is not only mature, but someone who can deliver when he needs to.
Well, we saw him, you didn't see this on the camera, but he was literally dancing into the studio. Cam, congratulations. I feel like you've gone through the whole meal tonight. You started with 101.9 average, finished with 101.9 average.
Oh.
See, there's a pleasant surprise, isn't
I
there?
thought I'd average about 77 again.
But in the middle of it, there was some trying, testing moments. That must have been an evening where you had to just go through everything.
Right. If I'm honest, I actually can't believe I've won the week, right? So I had such a great build-up probably 2 weeks ago. I thought, I wish Modus was now. I wish Q School was now in the middle of April, because I was playing such good darts. Then about a week before I come here, I was like, oh my life, I literally can't throw 3 darts. And then tonight, I built up yesterday. From Thursday, I wasn't great. Tonight, I had a great first game, and I thought, well, if I play like this, I'm going to win 4-0, and I might win 4-0 again, and I could do great tonight. And I played against Scott, and it wouldn't quite click, but I didn't feel too awful. And then against Chris, 3-0 up, I thought, okay, I'm not playing my best darts, but it's fine. And then I thought, oh my goodness, I literally can't string the first dart to the second, let alone the third. And I'm so fortunate to have beaten Chris. Chris didn't throw his best darts in the first 3 legs, but he come back really nicely. And I think experience probably won me the last leg.
Yeah.
And Chris is a great player, and he played a good game there, and I'm very fortunate to have won that game. And then in the practice room, I did the bull-up. Ron hit about 18 bullseyes in a row, and I thought, I'm not going to win that. I lost the bullseye, and I thought, from the start of the night, where I felt really good, to the end of the night, I thought, I'm in serious trouble here. And normally, I've got a couple of people down there, be it my dad, Owen, my mate Connor, my girlfriend, someone there to give a bit of a shout. My mum's there, but she doesn't want to shout. So I thought and Martin's here, but Martin's quite a calm character. So I thought, I'm in trouble here. And then luckily, I don't really know where it came from. I strung a couple of good darts together. The fact you said I just averaged 101, if I'm completely honest, I was so nervous because I actually went up there thinking I don't want to lose 4-0. I'm so glad to have strung that together. I don't really know where it came from.
You mentioned 4-0. That is the only 4-0 scoreline in a final in this series. And that is one of the best performances in a final in this series. Mm-hmm. We've just seen the emotion of you when you clicked that final 8-8. Does it feel fairly sweet knowing that that double is what cost you a lot on Thursday? Because you couldn't have hit it with a porcupine.
I reckon I could have thrown 3 porcupines and I wouldn't have hit 8-8 on Thursday. I tell you what does feel good. It feels good that I'm going to be there next week, and my plan is to do the same thing again. I'm absolutely not saying that will happen because there's plenty of brilliant players there next week, but I didn't feel good this week and I managed to win it. Mm-hmm. All I can do is, all this week, even if I throw bad darts in practice, I'm going to think, I won last week, and that's all I can do is feed myself good energy, and hopefully next week play better. And if I play better, I've averaged 101 in the final and didn't feel good, which I don't mean that to sound sort of condescending or anything, but if I've averaged 101 in the final and not felt good, then what can I do next week if I'm on a high?
In terms of next week, I spoke to you at the beginning of the night and I said, where are you at in terms of your career, in terms of expectation to win in comparison to getting experience in the bank? But going into next week, having had that previous tilt at Champions Week, playing at Champions Night, having that disappointment, what kind of energy from that previous experience can you use into your second tilt at Champions Week? Yeah,
there's a lot of it. You look at this Champions Week, there's a lot of excellent players. You've got, just off the top of my head, Brad Brooks, Darius Labanauskas both come off the tour straight into Champions Week. Bo Greaves, Bo's won 2 women's world titles, but she's never played a Champions Week. Now, that's not a deterrent to her because if she can play on the Lakeside stage, she can absolutely play on this stage. Darius and Brad have both played on the Worlds, on the Ali Pali stage at the PDC Worlds. They can absolutely play here, but they've not played in a Champions Week finals night, and I have. So I'm not saying that gives me an edge because they absolutely have more experience than I do, but I know what it's like to be here on a Saturday in Champions Week, and I know what it's like to lose here on a Champions Week finals night, and I don't like it. So I don't want to do that again.
I've got to ask you this question because there's probably going to be a lot of people watching this thinking, have you got a message for Owen Bates now that you've got 2 weekly titles and he's got 1?
Get good. Joking, I love you.
Can I ask, have you thought about your plans, your arrangements? Did you ever think about what the arrangement would be for winning week 12 going into week 13?
Well, actually, when I first got asked, I got asked by Murph. I said to my dad, I said, I'm playing week 12. And he said, oh, that's great. I said, Scott Taylor won week 12. And he went straight into week 13, well, Champions Week, which is the 13th week. And he won it. I said, it worked for him. Why can't it work for me? Now, he probably played a bit better in week 12 than I did. But, apples and oranges, I can't hide in it.
I'm going to ask you £1 million question. What would be your preference in terms of a group next week?
Probably Group B because I do like the evenings. I feel better in the evenings. I can get my music on. When you wake up early to play and then, no one wants to come in here when they've just opened their eyes. I get to have a stroll. I did the same. I spoke to my mate Connor and he said, do exactly the same thing today that you did yesterday because yesterday you were brilliant. He said, be brilliant again today, do the same thing. I walked the same place. I did the same place. FaceTime my girlfriend at the same time. We have to be here earlier today, but in preparation, same time. I ate in the same place. I ate in Frankie and Benny's again.
Other Italian restaurants available, by the way.
Yeah, I had pasta yesterday in Frankie and Benny's. I should have actually gone to a proper Italian, but here, it doesn't matter. I did everything the same. I like Group B. Hopefully I'll be in Group B again, and that means I get to go and play for Middlesex tomorrow night.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this question. I know what group you're going to be in next week. Which group do you think you're going to be in next week on the basis of your performances?
He's going to string this out, by the way.
Yes, this is going to be hard for you.
I would like to say Group B because I wasn't excellent, but you smiled when I said Group B. I'm hoping more Group C, but if I am, then bring it. Owen won through Group C, and he didn't win 2 weekly titles, so I can win through Group C at Champions Week.
Well, I can tell you, this feels like who wants to be a millionaire here. I can tell you, Cam Crabtree, you are playing in Group B next week. So you're going to get your
Yay.
preferred option. So what is going to be the preparation now? As you said, you've got County tomorrow. What's the rest of the week going to look like?
I've got County and Norfolk tomorrow. Monday night, I'll practice. Tuesday night, we play a summer league in Croydon. I'll practice with Darrell Pilgrim for a couple of hours before. Wednesday night, I will probably look to practice with maybe even on my own, but maybe Martin, maybe Darrell. I'll find someone good. If not, I'm probably the happiest person to practice on my own ever. Put my headphones in, I can throw for 12 hours. I'm so happy doing it. I know what I need to work on, know what I don't. And then Thursday day, I'll head up here, the same as yesterday, same as this week, sorry. And I'll do the same thing again. Hopefully, better performance on Thursday night, but I will look to do the same thing again.
Well, I have one more quick word with you in just a second. I'm just going to speak to Paul for a sec because we know the Champions Week lineup now. We can actually confirm that full 12-player lineup now for you ahead of next week's action. So these are the weekly winners. We will confirm the whole groups in due course. You can stay tuned to that via the Super Series YouTube channel, but Cam Crabtree is definitely playing in Group B next week. Now, I know Cam is here. Out of those 12 players, who would Cam look at as possibly the big competition? I know Bo Grease is a name that everybody's talking about.
Yes, because she's played the best starts of anybody in a weekly campaign and she hasn't lost. It cannot be ignored. But there are players on that list who are being ignored. I know that Cam has mentioned Bradley Brooks, but people seem to forget how well he played towards the end of his week in week 7. Darius Labanauskas, he only just got through to the Saturday night. However, look at how he played on Saturday night. And I think that's how we start to grade people. People can get through in very different ways, but it's how you perform under the lights in front of the fans, and especially when someone like this guy to my right knows what it's like on a Saturday night in Champions Week. And this place is sold out. It's going to be loud, it's going to be hot, and it's going to be difficult. And if you've had that experience before, there's no reason why he can't do it.
Just finally, in a sentence, what would winning the Modus Super Series mean to you?
A lot. That's only 2 words. It's not a sentence, but
That's perfectly
I can do a lot with 25 grand, and I can also, it's not about the money. The same as when you go to a challenge or a development tour, you don't play to win the 2.5 grand or whatever it is. You go to move yourself up the rankings, and here, I think winning there, it would be about moving myself up in the experience ladder, if you will, and also going to Challenge Tour in early June. People would look and think, Cam's just won Champions Week. And I always say this, Luke had this effect, Bo had this effect, and maybe will have this effect next week if she plays in Group A, like you've just mentioned. People often lose before they get to the board. And I won't say I have that effect, but I would like to have that effect. I want people to draw Cam Crabtree and not want to play Cam Crabtree.
Finally, away from the darts, big Gooners fan. Do they do it tomorrow, or City got it wrapped up?
Sadly not, but, I won today, so I'll be content.
Be a pretty good week if Arsenal get the job done and you've got the job done tonight.
If Arsenal get the job done, and I've got the job done tonight, and Middlesex are going to get promoted tomorrow when I play County, I'll send you a video of me running around the venue.
Great. We'll get that on the Super Series Twitter account. Cam, thank you so much. Good luck next week. Paul, thank you for your company over the course of the last season. It's been great fun spending time with you. And so we now know the full field of players as far as Champions Week is concerned. The action gets underway for 9:30 on Monday morning on the Super Series YouTube channel. There's going to be a new name on the jackpot.